Well, good evening and good to have you on this great day. Just to bring you to speed, Uganda's labor force consists of 15 million individuals. Those are in agriculture, accounting for 73% of the labor force employed in 2010. About 95% of the 11 million people working in agriculture are informal workers. Within the services sector, we have 80% of the jobs in the non-wage or the informal sector jobs, mainly in the low productivity, that is retail, trade, technical and vocational education, as well as training sector that has the potential of providing the largest number of skilled employees to increase Uganda's productivity. Now, to kickstart off our great conversation, in studios with me I have Mrs. Esther Sempira, the M&E consultant from that is a private sector foundation, Uganda and Skills Development Facility, and Mary Violet Kajumba, the grant specialist, still from PSFU and Skills Development Facility, to discuss the skilling for competitiveness. Follow the conversation online. The hashtag is Skills for Success. And this program is powered by the Ministry of Education and Sports, Scaling Uganda, and the World Bank. I'm Andrew Chamagru, but first, let's have a look at this great video to understand the context of this overview conversation.
The grant has been effective because we've been able to train our in-house trainers. We've been able to capacity build them in mechanical, in pipe fitting, in electrical, and health and safety. And that also goes for the support staff, because we also need to train the support staff in terms of how they support their training, monitoring, quality control, and all those areas.
Welcome back. Now that you understand that, just to bring you back to studio, I have Mrs. Esther Sempira and I have Mary Kajumba. Good evening. And good to have you today. I'll start with Mary. Mary, in the festive season, how planned are you for the festive season?
Well, I can say the festive season, we've been planning for it since the year began.
Okay.
And now it's the time for us to really enjoy ourselves with our families. That's what I can say. That's what I'm planning for. And have fun and also take some rest from work.
That's great.
Yeah.
Mrs. Sempira, when you're working with PSFU, especially with the skills development program and facility, a lot goes on. You barely take time to rest. Now that you're in the festive season, what does it look for you?
Oh, 12 months is such a long time.
Yeah.
So the beauty about December and Christmas is that you know it in advance.
Okay.
So you're able to plan for it.
Yes.
Take off time to rest,
Yes.
to enjoy your family, take off time to relax, and then as you prepare for the new year. So it's just time to relax, to party, and enjoy your family.
And you relieve a little bit of that. And I want to just chip in right there. Where you are, you're in M&E as a consultant with PSFU and the Skilling Development Facility. We're talking about skilling here today. With the tools you have and the metrics you have, what does the picture look like when it gets to skilling in our country?
The situation has been largely around formal education.
Okay.
Go to secondary school, high school, and then university. But the challenge comes when they come out without tangible skills, the one that would look at and say, well, this is what I'm going to do. And more specifically, in between secondary school and university. This is when a lot more of the hands-on skills would be very much appreciated. So that when they come out, they are going to be hands-on rather than look for the what to do, especially at this time when we're challenged with jobs, work opportunities. So the technical, vocational skills would come in very handy to equip our young people.
I love that. That's the picture, Mary. You work with PSFU, and part of the biggest mandate of PSFU is to create jobs and all. But I understand for the skilling program, PSFU delivers on behalf of government and the development partners, where you sit and stand at times as an expert of grants and all. Are we using these funds rightly so?
Well, I would say we are really using the funds for the intended purpose. And as private sector, like you've already mentioned, we implement on behalf of the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Finance. For example, this grant, the Skills Development Facility grant, was specifically for skilling Ugandans, for competitiveness and for employability and improvement in quality of production and productivity. Because we've seen previously the Ugandan products have not had competition on the market because of the low quality. We also have seen that the production levels have been low because of the methods we use in terms of production. So the Skills Development Facility project came in handy to skill Ugandans, both the employers in terms of hands-on practical skills in terms of production, and then also to skill the workers to ensure that these workers and companies are producing quality products that can compete on the international market. So the Skills Development Facility, actually, it's part of the bigger project, the Uganda Skills Development Program, and it's a government program that received funding from a credit facility from the World Bank, actually to a tune of $100 million, and to ensure that the skilling strategy of Uganda is implemented. Yeah, and now private sector, we only implemented part of the 4 components of the Uganda Skills Development Program, because it has 4 actually. The first one is institutionalization of institutional systematic reforms for the skills development. Then the second one is improving quality and relevance of skills development. And then ours, the private sector, we implemented the employer-led short-term training and skills certification. And then the fourth one is where we have the project management and M&E and monitoring. So as private sector, we implemented this through under 4 windows, the employer-led short-term training, where we were providing trainings to different companies. We've granted companies to train their employees to improve in terms of skills, because like Esther has already mentioned, we have in Uganda, we have our type of education system is where we have trained workers in terms of theoretical knowledge, but not the practical
ones,
knowledge. So you find that in all these companies, yes, there are people there, they have degrees, they have masters, but sometimes someone cannot apply that information practically. And then the kind of work they are doing may not be of high quality as expected by the company. So under this project, we have been able to fund companies, even institutions, and we have implemented this project under 4 funding windows, where we have looked at the first funding window is window 1, where we have looked at skill shortages in the formal sector, and here we were funding both medium and large companies to train their workers and improve their skills and production. Then we also funded another window is window 2, where we were looking specifically at the informal sector. The informal sector, and as we all know that the informal sector almost runs the economy of this country.
True.
So we were looking at enhancing their skills and their way of production. And then also we looked at window 3 was basically looking at innovative training, because where the world is going, we need to really innovate. The youth are encouraged to do innovations so that more products come out. Through even innovation, they are able to create their own jobs.
Correct.
So this particular window was targeting institutions, training institutions, vocational, even university and other companies, because we know innovation is a big thing. It may not be found in the institutions, but a private company could be able to innovate. So that specifically looked at that. Then the last window was looking at the recognition of prior learning and skill certification. Still, it was targeting private and public companies, I mean training institutions and also companies, as well as those other small associations like the Juwakalis.
Okay.
Because
I love that when you come into that, and it's something I'm going to come through. But back to you, Esther. When she mentioned something to do with competitiveness, the skilling for competitiveness, there are tools and models you use to aggregate how we're faring as a country vis-a-vis our neighbors, what they're doing better and what we're not doing better. When it gets to the scaling here, I want you to engage this competitiveness with a mindset approach. What do we need to trick our mind on so that we can be in position to compete favorably? Because you could give us all these skills, but if the mindset is still 50-50, possibly we may not compete as needed.
Thank you. What is coming through is that the equipments are there.
Okay.
The capital is there. But now the aspect of now bringing in the human skill to be able to complement the what is there so that they can work better.
Yeah.
The employers can indeed appreciate that they are contributing to their productivity, they are contributing to their profitability, but at the same time also being able to contribute to the turnover of these companies, because it's not enough to have the equipments, the machinery. So when you bring in the personnel, and this is where the skilling, particularly for the private sector, came in, so that the company, as Mary said, especially under Window 1, where you're looking at employees, and you're improving their skills, the ability to use some of the machinery, the ability to use some of the products so that they are able to produce better products. And now that is where you contribute and being able, and it is so interesting that when you train a few staff, the few staff are going to make a major turnaround.
And the productivity will go up?
Will go up. I'll give an example of a company that is making shoes.
Okay.
Where before they are trained, everything they're just handling, and of course sometimes even with an attitude, okay, I'm not supposed to be here, this
I'm here to get a paycheck and go.
I'm here to pay check, and of course the products may not be of good quality.
Correct.
But now the kind of training that PSFU was doing, it's not go back to class, it is train on the job for you to appreciate the skills. It helps to reduce on the wastage, because it's now not just about produce the production line,
it's
but
efficiency.
Efficiency in that case.
Yes.
For example, a company, well, one of the company that got money, before they started, that is Naka, before they started, they were producing like 80 pairs of shoes a month.
A month?
A month, yes.
That is
because
so
now
low.
they have to slowly, and just a few people who can be, but
and the
now
technology was
the technology is, but now the kind of support through PSFU from the government and the World Bank, supporting this company, improve your equipment, improve the skills of the personnel, and the turnover is now coming to 1,000
per week,
pairs of shoes per month.
Oh,
and of
nice.
course the quality is good, but they are not just producing for the local market. Now with a bigger picture of exporting, with a bigger picture, we can improve, we can increase, we can expand our production line. So that is the kind of skilling that came through.
I still want
this is just one example of 885 different, I can call them organizations, companies, institutions. As Mary said, they were grouped by size. For example, Window 1 was looking at companies that are producing for the national, which many times people call the local market, but also with a picture to produce for the bigger market for exporting. So then we also had other companies that were under the what she called the smaller organizations, the Jua Kali. Jua Kali in the sense that these are people who have learned their skills on the job.
The ones in Katwe?
Kick, yes, in Katwe. Actually, we had a number of beneficiaries there. From Katwe, from Zambia, from Bwaise, Kawempe, and all across the country.
Yes.
So improving their skills so that actually many people like the Katwe products.
True.
It's just that they needed a bit of
fine-tuning.
Their appreciation. And some of the training was not just the technical training, which is the kiki, but also improving the other aspects of training. The communication, how do you handle your customers, how do you handle your business, including the basic
financial
bookkeeping, the management, the security, the safety of your products. You know, this kind of, you've made your products, leave them in the open, then the next day it's gone, and all the capital is gone. So we are looking at, and then we had the bigger institutions, the training institutions, both the public and private. For example, the Uganda Christian University was one of the beneficiaries. They came up with an interesting training program. They innovated a training program that looks at the birds, the tourism, and they uniquely created a training program that would complement the tourism, which is called the birding, where people can have a short training. Of course, you know, Uganda is very endowed in terms of tourism, but it's told that we have some good collection of birds.
Rare endangered species.
But we did not have people with the papers,
data to defend them,
including the papers to be able to talk about the rare birds and so on, marketing them and being able to attract tourists to come in. Now, where does M&E come in here? Being able to aggregate all these numbers and also being able to document the unique practices, the unique programs. I'm able to talk about the Mukono training, not because I was there, I was part of it,
but the intriguing aspect of it,
ability to be able to document those unique programs. Very many, as I said, 885 different grantees. We call them grantees because each of them they write their proposal, they are able to, and it's funded, and then you routinely look at what they are doing, being able to make sure that yes, what they propose to do, they are on course, and actually the results. And now those are just numbers of beneficiaries, but we looking at the people that benefited from this program.
That's where I'm going to come. I really want to tap in that. Mary, before we go for this break, I want us to talk about the employability, because she hinted about employability, and I'm like, okay. When you look at our population, and earlier on you talked about it, but you're a little bit subtle. You're not like me, a journalist. I'll go all the way down. You're subtle. You said some skills, we have them, but they are not marketable. They are not dependable. You cannot earn from them. Yet you have a lot of book knowledge than the practical knowledge. When you look at our population, especially the youth, now that you've gone around the country and you receive this data firsthand, what do you make of our population? Are we employable? And if we are not, how best can we tweak that?
Okay, thank you. The truth, our population as per now, like I've already mentioned, it's more of practical, theoretical training. So I think that's why the government had to come up with the revision of the to come up with the formulation of the BTVET policy to ensure that vocational training institutions provide those hands-on skills. And actually, if you look at developed countries, if you look at Germany, why is their GDP high? It's because most of the people, actually, if I can say, I have worked with the whites, but if you work with, I mean, if you realize most of them don't value these degrees so much.
They don't. What can you do?
Most of them have vocational training institutions. So for us in Uganda here, we are having an employable problem because we are more on theoretical. We need to change our system of education. That's why I think the government is promoting the vocational training institutions, because in vocational training, you get hands-on skills. By the time you get out there, you're dependable. And you know what you're doing. And actually, under this project, we've been able to work with vocational training institutions. We have enabled them to ensure that they train. For example, we've worked with Kabasanda Technical Training Institution. And the Kabasanda Technical Training Institution, actually, we funded it. And they acquired an equipment called TELS, that is the Technical Education Learning System. It's a CNC technology whereby you get students to be trained on, let's say, for example, if it's about welding, how the measurements are done, the processing up to the end. If it's packaging, actually we bought them that equipment. It's a very expensive equipment from the US. But
are we seeing the return on investment so far?
Yes, so far. Yes, they have been able to train.
We're going to take a break. The conversation is getting much more exciting. I want to ask you a question, a parent who is watching this. What does your daughter or son know? Do they have a skill they can depend on in case you're not here anymore? What skill do they have that can they leverage on in today's world? This is the Skills for Success program, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, welcome back. It's still the Skills for Success program powered by the Ministry of Education and Sports, not forgetting Skills Uganda and the World Bank. My name is Andrew Chamagiro. In studio with me I have Mrs. Sempira Esther, and of course I have Mary Kajumba from PSFU Uganda, as well as the Skills Development Facility. Before we went for the break, Esther, you heard how Mary was diving into the benefits that are coming from the beneficiaries that are coming from the communities, people who have actually been onboarded on this. But I want to engage a little bit about the informal sector onboarding. What are some of the challenges you've faced as the implementers of this, onboarding the informal sector to get on the board of skilling?
There were two major challenges. First of all, the literacy, or coming from the other side, the literacy. Of course, the informal sector, everything is learned at home, at work, the hard way, bang 10 times before you actually learn. For example, I'll give an example of the car mechanic, and that was one of our key sectors for support. So if you're now taking people into the kind of structured, I'll call it the structured skilling, it requires a bit of reading and writing, because the other one is about look at it and do it. But now the skilling requires a bit of measuring. Measure the centimeters. They are 10, they are 15, they are 25. And then when you're guiding somebody to do the measurements, there is some bit of, well, it's always like that. It's never perfect. And yet skilling, actually, it's one of the things people need to appreciate is that skilling is bringing people from the imperfect to the perfect.
Yes, you're disrupting the norm.
Yes. So that has been a big challenge, because now the reading, the writing, the record keeping, the costing. I'll give examples of our informal carpenters. Come back for your table on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. But now in the skilling, it's not just about the technical, but there is also the other soft skills about the customer care, the customer trust. So you're not going to start telling your customers, come back the other day, come back the other day. So Part of the
trust.
skilling means when you get orders, make your orders and finish them. We had one of the experiences about the tailoring, where they were bringing many informal tailors into the skilling, but it requires them to know the kind of the things that have been talking about, the measurements. Are you able to make 1,000 shirts,
in a day?
Same style, same structure, same format, the cutting without losing a lot of material? So that is also part of the skilling. So the literacy levels
was a big challenge.
Affect the skilling process, because the delivery mode, you know, in skilling, the skilling, the materials, the training materials, the tools have to be outlined. But now the ability to read and be able to go back home and revise. Actually, one of our windows, Mary should have talked about it, the window 4, which is the recognition of prior learning. Taking on people who have learned on job, they have a lot of experience. We'll still go back to one of the mechanics, where somebody has been a mechanic
for years.
But he doesn't have a paper. He doesn't have a certificate of recognition of some sort. But the ministry has a program where you can assess these people, get to know their competences, their levels, what they can do, what they are able to do, and some retraining, so that you bring them to some level of understanding, and then you give them certificates.
You can grade them then.
And you can grade them. So
I saw that it's under the Directorate of Industrial Training. We had a conversation about that, I think, some time ago, and we realized that people are even scared to go there, like in case I'm graded wrongly. But I have the skill. I mean, I can disassemble an engine of a Volkswagen and put it back, but they don't even know how much they can explain it. And yet there's some jobs that could come from big companies like Toyota or whatever, Fiat, and they want this kind of skill and they can't get it. But now that we are having it, people, in case you're one of those, you are a technical person, you are a good builder, you're a good welder, you have this skill, you now need to get the paper and you certify it. Coming to you, Mary, let's talk about innovation. My generation is fast forward, technology, we are moving. The president was giving a speech the other day in the UK and said that innovation is picking up in our country. How does skilling plug with innovation to accelerate this to the very last mile of the person at the bottom of the pyramid? Okay.
You see, innovation is very important, actually, like you have said. It's, under this project, we have supported innovative training initiatives.
They call them hubs.
For us, they were initiatives. Actually, like I told you, we're basically dealing with institutions, training institutions, universities, vocational training institutions, and the other companies.
Yes.
Because with innovation, the innovation is very expensive.
Correct.
Yeah. So under this program, we have supported the training institutions, like, for example, we have supported the technical training institutions. We supported the Uganda Matters University to develop a product in what? It's called Black Soldier Fly Lava.
Yes.
That Black Soldier Fly Lava is basically for production of an alternative to this
to proteins.
Yeah, proteins.
I've seen it in ecological studies.
And that innovation is not something you can say you're going to use some small monies.
Yes.
So it needs a lot of small monies. But also, as we were funding these innovations, we were looking at one thing in terms of skilling. We're looking at innovations that can be able to create jobs.
Correct.
The demand for these particular innovations, because we are not going to
just... It goes back to the PSFU agenda.
Yes, because we are looking at creating employment.
Yes.
And we have to get an innovative product that will create employment, and also it is demanded on the market. So, for example, that one, of course, we know many people are rearing chicken and what. So also, by the way, we have also supported other universities to come up with innovative training curriculums. And these curriculums are supposed to be replicated in other training institutions such that these courses they are training are able to create jobs, and they are supposed to be competence-based curriculums. So, for example, we have also supported Africa College of...
Before we go there, I want to dig more into the innovative training curriculums.
Yes.
What are some of the key components that are embedded in such trainings?
So, some of the key components actually, the major component is supposed to be something that is competence-based.
Okay.
For example, if you had her talking about the budding, budding.
And by the way, the best badder in the whole world is a Ugandan.
So that budding curriculum embedded the fact that someone is able to tell the bird species that are in Uganda. So even if I came and I woke you up and say, Andrew, tell me how many bird species do you have in Uganda and where can they be found, and you know,
the offer.
You're even able to take the person there and say this bird is this species and this and this, and you're competent enough. Or if it's about operating a certain machine, you can tell me how you start this machine, how it operates, and what it does,
the volumes
and
it can
produce in a day. Or if you, for example, you're talking about, okay, I was telling you about actually other innovations. For example, there is a college in Kabale called Africa College of Commerce and Technology. We supported them also to innovate an Internet of Things curriculum, which they came up with, and it was fully certified by DIT. And they trained over 100 students, and actually most of their students have been employed. This is what we are talking about.
Nice.
Skill, hands-on skills.
Yes.
So this innovation, they were able to, these people actually, like you said, we have many innovations in Uganda, and a lot of it is happening by government programs, but they are not known.
They're not amplified.
Due to lack of access. Because in that college, as I talk now, they can be able to make irrigation scheme, remote irrigation, whatever.
Remote.
Uganda then they also have this automatic door switches, automatic sprays,
I've seen automatic lights.
So those kinds of innovation. Now these students are able to get, you know, jobs out of those innovations they make. Much as you're not at the university, if after the university you're able to... You
can employ someone.
Yeah, like for example, this particular college, they have been able to, out of those students that were trained, some of them have been taken by Umeme, some of them have been taken by National Water, and the other companies.
They are dependable.
And then these innovations also, I can say, we have supported many universities. Even we have also come up with innovative training to ensure that these skills reach out even to the people.
Now,
not that they only remain in Kampala.
That's what I wanted to look at. We have some areas around the country that are not... Our digital strategy as a country looks good on paper, but the reach seems to be a little bit turbulent. So I'm looking at districts that are not already onboarded on the internet, on the fiber. Government has a strategy to make sure that at least all of us are on, but there are those that are in the hard-to-reach areas. How is this skilling program reaching them, that the benefits are not only, you know, carved off or coveted for particular areas that are a little bit urban and the rural ones miss out?
Okay. For this program, actually, there are companies we have supported with mobile training units
to go out there. Nice.
To ensure that even the rural areas are reached. For example, we have Q training. We supported Q training, and they train basically in welding and fabrication. And we know there are many people out there. With the oil and gas, we need such trainings. And these trainings, they've been able to use that mobile van. We have supported them. It's a fully equipped mobile van with everything, such that even if I'm in Sekaramoja,
a beam.
A beam, this van can be able to get there. They tell people interested in the training in that area. They train you with every equipment, not that you have to run to Kampala to go to a workshop where you will see how do I get this welding machine to train this person. That van is fully equipped. We have also supported UZIA, Uganda Small Scale Industries. We also supported them with a training van where they are training. The van is also well equipped with the training equipment, like maybe for plumbing, painting, machining, even tailoring, by the way, because there are many. So those companies are able to take those services to those out of reach places.
Okay.
Yeah. So that has helped actually to
scale it up.
Scale it up.
If I might come back to you, Esther, with all this going on, you from M&E, do we see the return on investment? Because at the end of the day, that's what the government wants to see. Are we employing people, and the ones we're employing, are they employable? Has the mindset changed that I can actually do it myself? A community is transforming. But while communities are transforming, the service delivery to the last mile, do you see it through your models and tools that we're working?
The beauty about skilling, it's not for settlement, it's for mobility.
Nice.
So while the skilling can happen in Kapchora, you're not tied to work in Kapchora.
I can move to Kichwamba.
You can move to Kichwamba. So some of these are innovative. You talked about the limitations of internet, and other things.
Yeah.
They don't have to get stuck in Arua. One can be skilled in Kampala to work in the Albertine region.
Yes.
And actually, one of the things we need to mention in this
the Albertine, for you, the viewer, that is the oil corridor. That's another.
So the benefit of this whole skilling that we are talking about, especially under the Skills Development Facility, the ability to train people, skilled people in those rare, unique, innovative areas, which we previously did not have in the country.
Sure.
For example, we can now talk about people skilled for the oil and gas sector, which is coming up. Many people were worried that probably our oil and gas, it's going to only employ internationals, other people. But because of the skilling, we can talk about thousands of people that have gotten those unique skills, the welding, the plumbing, the construction, the electricians who can. But even if they don't work there, we are aware of our policy that has allowed people to go and work in the Middle East and all over the world. And these are opportunities that when people have the skills, they can be able to go and work in other countries.
Wow.
Maybe I can give an example of these heavy duty trucks. Previously, we didn't have training programs for those people who drive the trailers. They had to go to other countries.
When you talk about that, I was in Mombasa 3 weeks ago. I found a lady whose job is to park trailers. You know, when the space is really slim, these guys will drive all the trucks, and when they reach there, they have to hand over to, because the skill they have is to park them. How she was balancing it, my oh my. I couldn't. Now when you speak about this, it makes sense, because the vocal support is coming through.
We have 175 people trained in Uganda.
Okay. 200 actually and 75.
275 who are trained in Uganda. Previously, they had to find their way to go to
Nairobi,
Mombasa, but these were specifically trained in Uganda. The beauty about the program is that we provided the funds to procure the trucks for training, so that it's not about a truck, but it is hands-on. So these people can go to Kenya, can go to Rwanda, can go to Sudan.
Anywhere.
Anywhere. The returns, you asked about the returns, they send back the earnings to Uganda.
We are moving.
And we are moving. And that is part of our GDP.
Great conversation, skilling for success. As you're finalizing this conversation, TV time is a little bit unreal. At times it runs so fast. But Mary, as we're finalizing this conversation, to you as an implementer of this program, as a mother, as a sister, as a leader in your capacity, what could be your parting shots to a Ugandan out there watching the skilling? And if they want to join these kind of programs, that I'll drop that to Esther there. But for you, Mary, I want you to give a message to a Ugandan out there who possibly thought these things are for, you know, government comes up with programs and they all go. But with all this you've said and what we have seen on TV, it's evident that we're moving. How fast can they get on board?
Well, to all our viewers watching out there, Ugandans, skilling is a very important aspect these days. And without skills, you're not going to get jobs. And this one especially goes to the youth who are out there. It is very important for you to get hands-on training. So first of all, I want to say that there's need for mindset change. Let's not think that I only have to go to the university. This one actually, this message goes to the parents who think that my child should only go to the university and get a degree. It doesn't make any sense for your child to get a degree when they don't have any skill. And when they get that degree, come back home, sit with it without getting any employment. So I advise parents, you guide your children in terms of skilling. If you see this is where the strength of my daughter is, and there is a vocational training institute that can train that skill, which can give this daughter of yours a hands-on practical skill that will help her or him to go and get a job out there. Please, let's not focus on university degrees. Even vocational training certifications are very important. For example, we've talked about supporting vocational institutions. Many vocational institutions have trained workers out there, and they are there. Some of them are even ready by there for the oil and gas, because we have supported like 7 government institutions to get these international certifications for CIT and Guilds, ECTIB, this Engineering Construction Training Board, and OPITO, and those are the skills, certifications that are recognized by our oil and gas industry. And now that Uganda is coming up with the oil and gas opening up for the country, we need to take this opportunity. Go out there, skill. If it is in plumbing, if it's in mechanical engineering, please, parents, let your children go to these technical institutions.
Thank you so much.
And maybe not only...
That's the last one?
Yeah, the last shot. These institutions and the certifications we are talking about, they are not only for learned people. We've talked about the recognition of prior learning.
Yeah, and the informal sector.
The informal sector, and many of them, by the way, are now even getting jobs abroad. Many of them didn't have papers to talk about their qualifications and competencies.
Correct.
But because of these trainings, this skills program, they've been able to be reassessed and given certifications according to your competency level. And they are using these certifications for getting jobs even outside of Uganda.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Esther, your parting shots, especially, I love you for the return on investment. I really got that very good. What could be your parting shots to institutional leaders as we are into this skilling business and conversation? How fast should the institutions pick up and demand for these trainings more?
Speaking from the monitoring and evaluation point of view, the project was implemented with a mind of continuity.
Correct.
And sustainability. So the kind of things that we are talking about, they are not in the past. But what has happened, Mary talked about institutions getting accreditation with international institutions like City and Guild and the ECTB. So the institutions are here to stay. So what that means, parents, institutions, government, private companies can send their workers there to be further skilled, to upgrade, to continue, but then they can also partner with these institutions to develop training models that best suit the different, the environments. For example, if you have an institution, and I'll give an example of a secondary school. You don't have to wait until the students have finished senior 4. You can work with an institution to model a catering program that can benefit the young people as they go through, and this is what actually government is doing, especially under the directorate, the DIT. They are picking up these skills so that they are integrated into our education curriculum, so that it's not about degree, master's, PhD, but when somebody doesn't even know where they are going. You know, some time back we had this perspective of papers.
Now it's
but
what
papers
can you
to
do?
where? But what can you do?
Correct.
And that is very, very important. The institutions that got the funding, they developed models, they are here to stay.
Okay.
All they can do is to be able to market these programs so that they can attract the students. Of course, the grant has ceased, so this time it would require the parents to be able to contribute to the training and to the training of the students, and to be able to benefit from this kind of program.
Thank you so much, Esther. My dear viewer, I really want to thank you for being with us. I know, time. The conversation was getting heated up with just getting a couple of things. But just so you know that every weekend we'll be having this conversation, success, rather skilling for success, because we need our country to be in Vision 2040 year with the right population, with the employable skills, and above all, with the right mindset and attitude towards work. My name is Andrew Chamagin, and with me in studio, I had Esther from PSFU, and I had Merika Jumba, still from PSFU, with the Skills Development Facility. And this conversation was powered by the Ministry of Education and Sports, Skilling Uganda, and the World Bank. Until next time, skill your children for the next agenda.